So what is up, everybody? Thank you so much for tuning back in. Today's goal is to refurbish some old hardware of mine and bring it back to life into my current setup. So on the right we have my Raspberry Pi 1B, and on the left is the Apple Airport base station, which is completely dead. So the goal of today is to get Pi-hole running on this guy, to remove all of the ads which are running around on various sites, and to make thereby the internet experience quite a lot better, and then put this guy into this guy. Because I run an Apple setup which is looking really nice, I think it's the right thing to do to put this guy into this guy and then have it looking really nice in my server setup. We first start at my desktop with the software part of things. So the first thing to do is, I already do have an operating system on this SD card, but for the sake of this video I will remove it completely. So let's start with a program called SD Card Formatter, and I'm on this program right now, and you can see here I do have the SD card, and there is a partition called boot. It's a SDHC card. It has 8 gigabytes, and now let's format this thing. So I go here, right here, to override format and format. So now we have finished the formatting process. So let's close out of here, and now we are on the home page of the Raspberry Pi, which is raspberrypi.org, and we are in the downloads section. And what I will do next is to load down Raspbian, which is the recommended software, Linux software for my Pi to use with the Pi-hole. So let's go in here and let's download the Raspberry Pi Buster with desktop and recommended software. I will download it as a zip file, save it into my downloads and start. So now that we have downloaded the Raspberry file, let's open it up in WinRAR and unzip it. So in the next step we need a program called Etcher. So you download it, and then in the first step you select the image. So when you've opened it up, you can select the drive, and then you're going to flash it. So you are now looking at the desktop of the Raspberry Pi. I have just plugged it in, and this will be the only time I will boot it up directly. I haven't plugged in the internet yet, but that won't be a problem. The only thing we are going to do right now is to enable SSH so that we can use that for configuring it later on. So now what do we have to do next? It's a really simple step. So you go into the console. There we go. Now let's have a look if you are sharp, which you are. So now we have to go into the Raspberry Pi configuration, and we do that by typing sudo raspi-config. So, and now we are in the Raspberry Pi configuration file. So now there is SH, and now we should be able to select it and go over and say yes, we want to enable SSH. And now it says yes, we have enabled SSH, and that should be it for this step. So now this is the stage of operation where we are. So we have plugged in the SD card, we are plugged into power, and we are plugged into Ethernet, which is running right into the switch which is sitting in my server cabinet, which looks like this. There you go. That's my server cabinet, looking really nice. Now you may understand why I will use the Apple Airport base station as the housing for the Pi, because like you can see, I have an Xserve right down there, an Xserve, a time capsule and stuff like that. So it's a really neat Apple setup with modern hardware. So let's continue on my desktop. So now we are back at my desktop and I've opened up Putty, which is a program which is used for SSHing into devices onto your network. I won't show you how you can set how you can find out the IP address of your Pi. But it's really simple. You go into your router, then you will find the Raspberry Pi and its IP address, and you can set that every time this Pi will get the same IP address. I won't show you this because there may be relevant data and I don't want to show you that. So now we are in Putty. We can put in the IP address. Mine is 192.168.1.24 and I want to save this session as Raspberry Pi whole. Save, and then let's open this connection up, and now we are at the login. So now let's log into it. So the login should be quite simple. The name is Pi and the password at the beginning should be Raspberry. And now we are up and running. And now it's as simple as the following thing. Let's get the writes done first. So now the first step is to update and upgrade our Linux distribution. You do that with the following command: sudo apt-get update and sudo apt-get dist upgrade. And then you enter that and it will begin this. So now we are at the interesting part. So first thing to do is to get yourself sudo rights for everything. So now it's going like that, sudo -i, and now we have sudo rights. So we are at the root part. So the next step is to get just one line. It's curl-ssl https install.pi-whole.net and a bash command at the end. So let's get it started. So now comes the interesting part. We are now in the Pi interface of Pi-hole. Let's install it. So we will just press OK for all of that. A static IP, I have done that on the router, so there's no problem. From the DNS, I will use Google, which is fine. And now we can use the lists, but in my opinion, those are all fine. And I will use IP4 version 4 and IP version 6, which is okay. Now this is my IP address, which is right. So yes, I've done that. I will use the interface. So, and I want to log everything and I want to show everything. So now it will install. So now we have this thing up and running, and now I want to change the password to be removed, and you do that by typing in pi-hole -a-p, enter. Now the password is removed. So now when I go to my IP address, which is up here, 192.168.1.24-admin, I'm on the Pi-hole itself. It's running great. It's doing like 41 degrees right at the moment. Memory usage is at 30.8%, which is great. And I have surfed the internet a bit, and you can see I have 114,000 domains in my block list, and the percentage blocked from the things going through are 46%, which is amazing. So 46% of my traffic are nothing but ads. So it's really, really interesting. So I will show you what that looks like. In the background, I'm going to another page. It loads up and you see the percentage goes up. Let's go to another one. There we go. And you can see they are going up. At the moment, I'm surfing with 2 clients in my network. One should be my local host, and one should be so one is the Pi itself, and one is my PC from which I'm surfing right now. Yeah, so this part is done. It's running great. So guys, now we are at the last step. I did miss to film the taking apart of this device. It was really problematic because everything was glued together. So yes, it was a hassle to get apart. And then I've widened up this hole, and I have created a new slot right here for the SD card and here for the power cord. So now the last step will be to glue those 2 parts together with the Raspberry Pi in the middle. So it will sit like so. There we go. So let's glue it together.